Welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Maru.
The city is choked. There are lots of nuisance billboards and signposts around. The minister for the Greater Accra region says, let's decongest the city. Why are you complaining?
So, Maru, we are not complaining. I think as the mouthpiece for the standard of advertising practice, the AAG has been at the forefront for the fight against illegal and indiscriminate mounting of billboards. We've been doing this for the past 2 decades. We've covered a lot of routes in Accra, in Kumasi. We have dozens of reports which depicts the sorry state of our city's, skyline. Billboards are supposed to not just for aesthetics, but also to help brands to sell. But if you look at what is happening in our city, it's quite sorry. We've been on several, the sorry state is that we've been in several committees in association with all these institutions involved. But yet we don't get any will from the authorities to help to curb this menace of indiscriminate billboard mounting, which we believe has been taken over by charlatans and faceless people. Wherever they are coming from, we don't know. We have information of where some of them could come from. But we've been fighting this. I've made several statements appealing, to various governments, the past government, this current government, that we need to halt this so that we can clean the city and rid it of the filth of metals, sticking everywhere in Accra. In October last year, based on one of these calls, a committee was set up duly by the local government, which we embraced. And it's made up of road safety, urban roads. All these persons were part of the group that actually wrote the guidelines for advertising billboard specifications for outdoor signs. This included Ghana Institute of Surveyors, Ministry of Roads and Highways, of KNUST, Institute of Engineers, Ghana Institute of Surveyors. All these persons came out with a guideline, about 80 pages, called the GS 847-2019, on how to regulate the outdoor industry. Omar, I can tell you that most of the MCs do not apply these guidelines. So everyone anywhere just wakes up and then mounts billboard anywhere. And what it is doing is that it is killing those of us who are in the association, who we are, would nurture to be able to go by the guidelines of advertising practice and mounting billboard the right way. And it's almost like the new galaxy in Ghana now. Everyone wakes up anywhere, mounts billboard. They get the authority from the MCs. So the MCs should actually come out and explain to Ghanaians how they go about giving all these permits to these people to mount billboards. And this 80-page document that I'm talking about, no one follows them. By our count, about 70% of the billboards in Accra is illegal because they do not go by the guidelines which is laid down by the Ghana Standard Authority. So it's a big concern, it's a huge concern. When the committee was set up, we had a representative on it. We forced that just having one representative is not good enough because all the outdoor suppliers, all of them as a body, do not have a single person of an outdoor vendor on that committee. So we wrote to the committee, put an outdoor vendor on there to share their part, because they are the core of this situation. So they can also put their voice on there and follow the plan that we have provided, so that we can follow through and rid our city of all of this. All of a sudden, we hear from some quarters that billboards are being marked, and it feels like they're targeting our members. And they started demolishing billboards. Of course, we want the billboards to be kept down. If you look at Spencer, let me give you some statistics. Spencer, for a 12-kilometer road, has 315 billboards as of last year. By the election, by now, I'm sure we can count about 350. By the guidelines, you should have only 105 billboards on Spencer. So where is the 200 billboards coming from? So it's a great situation. And what we thought the committee would do is that they would sit down with the core persons involved in it, which is the outdoor suppliers, go through the plan that we have provided because they do not have any plan, so that we can step by step go through, agree on a plan, let everyone sign to it, then we can start removing those billboards. We'll have a clear plan, and on Tuesday, we're going to lay the plan for everyone to understand why this is important, and why we need to get our stakeholders on board.
Okay, when we hear ads or see ads on TV, they are often marked with the words approved by the FDA. That's for ads relating to food and all of that. How do we determine that a billboard in the median of a road is approved or not? How do we determine that? Is there a sign that shows?
Omar, to start off by the guideline, we should not have any median sign anywhere in any road in Accra.
So just to be sure, when median here means a dual carriage lane on one road of two cars going one way, another coming the other way. In the middle, they usually put pavements or trees. You are saying that no billboard should stand there.
There should be no billboard on the by the guidelines. I can read all the guidelines to you. And by the guidelines, there should be no billboard within 100 meters on secondary and third roads where you're driving about 60 kilometers. The science behind that, and for me, this is where the painful bit is. The science behind that is that the human mind can only process anything in 100 meters within 5 seconds. So if you're driving 50 kilometers per hour, it will take you 7 seconds to reach another board of 100 meters. So the guidelines where all these scientists and experts came together said that do not put any billboard less than 100 meters apart on the road, which is a third tier road, where you're driving 50 kilometers per hour. But Omar, when you go to SpaceX within 100 meters, you have 4 billboards. Now tell me, what are you going to read on the billboard? What information are you going to gather, and how are you going to make your decisions of the message or the advert that you're watching? So there's a lot of noise out there. Those who are advertising are not getting their money's worth. And these billboards do not go through the structural integrity test, the seismic test, the weight speed test. They do not go through that. They do what we call bury a pit. So they just dig the hole, put the metal in, and pour some concrete on it. It's quite disheartening. Somebody has lost his life because of this. And we've all watched. I'm sure people on Speakers Road didn't know that you will count 315 billboards when you start from Sakumono to when you get to Accra Mall. What do you want to sell to me? How can 315 people be selling to me on a 12-kilometer road? So it's chaotic. It's terrible. If you look at 37 now, it's madness. Our city is filthy with billboards.
Okay.
You know, and we don't recognize it because it has become part of our wallpaper. You know, when those who were instituted initially started with huge pylons and all of that, they knew what they were doing. But we don't know where the ball fell. Now, anyone else, and we do not know them. Let me give you another statistic. On the Speakers Road that I'm talking about, every billboard owner is supposed to mark their billboard, so we know that this is the company that owns the billboard. You'll be surprised to know that on the Speakers Road, 75% of the billboards are not marked. So who owns them? And how did Assembly give those permits to them? And do they follow through the guidelines? So these are some of the pertinent issues that are around, and we want to help to solve the situation.
Okay.
But you cannot randomly. We are hearing stories that certain persons are involved. It's happening that we go round and round and round and round, and we are unable to solve this problem.
So if this chaos is even unjustified and unlawful, perhaps prune everything or pull everything down, then we can start afresh. Is that not the approach of the minister? Because I see your concerns in your statement. You talk about perceived irregularities and selective enforcement. You talk about threat to industry stability and investor confidence, and you say there's a need for institutional reset and proper governance. If the erection of these billboards is an unlawful act, then removing them cannot be deemed unlawful.
Well, Umar, I do agree to some extent, and that is why we say that you need to have a plan. In Lagos, what happened is what you're talking about, the draconian tactics of saying that all billboards are illegal, let's start afresh. But even that, they did not pull all the billboards out. What we are saying, the plan we have, which we're going to show on Tuesday, is that there were boards that were conforming to the guidelines before all these other, little boards and all of that came into being. And we have records of that. So our plan is that let's go back to the board, let's determine where billboards should be, And then let's go by the record, who was there first before all these new ones coming in, so that we can sit and plan with you. We all can sign tomorrow. Our members are saying that even if they are raiding the city of these billboards and they affect some of their billboards, they are willing to take it on the chin so that they can look for other options. So we are willing to sit on the table and talk, but we cannot be in conversation. We haven't been sat down to discuss, and yet some entities go around cutting billboards that people have invested, their millions of cities over the years to build. I mean, some of the billboards they are pulling, yes, I do agree some of them were illegal, but some of them too are legal billboards that have the right permits. So what we are calling is that sit down with us. Let us go to. We have a plan. I'll share we'll share a lot of these plans on Tuesday. We have several reports. I'll give you a funny story. National Road Authority, together with Urban Roads, together with the FCEs and the dean of the FCE then, 2 years ago, called us into a similar meeting. We chose Adenta as a case study. We have done a lot of case studies around the country. At the end of the study, we realized that Adenta municipality has 1,500 billboards for a road of 55 kilometers. It should not be so. The obvious question, once we showed the data, the obvious question was, ChannelOne, almost like we didn't even know that we had 1,500 billboards. So the deeper situation, the conversation that we need to have is that if the government having its fair share of the rent that these billboards are supposed to contribute to the nation, I can tell you that that's not the situation in most of the municipal assemblies. For those who are strong and able to control those like the LATNAs and the LETNAs and all of that, they can provide this information. But the other NCEs do not have, if you count the number of boards and you look at how much they're raising, you have to ask the question, are these raising the right revenue? If they're not raising the revenue, then why are we allowing all these billboards to be all over the place, causing harm and injury to motorists and pedestrians?
Thank you so much for speaking to us, and we pray that your engagements will be fruitful.
Thank you very much, Umaro.
That's Andrew Aka. He's president of the Advertising Association of Ghana. This is Eyewitness News.